Sometimes I want to tell people that it's not inevitable that certain times of our life or certain situations have to entail suffering. And I think this is the biggest message that I would want to share with the world about menopause. And I have to tell you, I feel a little bit strange talking about menopause being at a stage of my life where I have not yet experienced it, but I've had such reliably good results with clients who are in that transition and that phase of life that I feel like it would be naughty of me not to tell you about it and not to share. I started working with this client in June of 2016, and she's super healthy person, takes excellent care of herself physically and emotionally. Very, very, very on top of things and everything relating to self-care. And it was unusual for her to be having some, health challenges. She normally slept well, had great moods, and exercised, ate right, all of that good stuff. But she had started to be experiencing irritability, low mood. She wrote blah in parentheses, low mood, blah. Lack of motivation, night sweats. She's waking up at 3 a.m. no matter what, and then just feeling restless all night until it was time to get out of bed. And her joints were aching. And she reported that this had been going on for 6 weeks and very consistently, but that they're not like her. She didn't feel like there was anything in her life that could explain, she wasn't worried about something. There was no external reason for this change. Mild, she had some joint pain, some back pain, kind of achiness if she sat still too long, but she made sure she wouldn't sit still too long, so she would avoid that. Hip stuff. But other than that, everything was pretty good. She had a partial hysterectomy, so she wasn't able to notice changes in her menstrual flow, but she still had her ovaries. So she thought that probably what was going on is that she was in the menopausal transition at this point. And she really, really wanted to sleep better. That sleep was so important to her optimal functioning. So really, in her case, there wasn't much to do in terms of lifestyle and food. She already had those bases covered. And herbal medicine is gentle in a certain way. It's powerful, but it's gentle. So it's very important that people who are working with an herbalist are not just taking the herbs, but they're also doing all of the other things that will allow their bodies to return to balance. And so I think part of why she got such quick results had to do with the fact that she had such a good foundation of all of these habits and had been doing them consistently for years and years. We started with 2 remedies. So I gave her one remedy that she was to take twice a day that would help to tonify the yin, what we call the yin in Chinese medicine. And when the yin is depleted, it's like your body doesn't have enough of the things that nourish and cool and calm and relax your system. And it's kind of like if you turn on the shower and you turn on the hot water and you turn on the cold water and you get it the perfect temperature, and that's like your body being in a state of balance. When you don't have enough yin, it's like somebody shut off the cold water and the hot water is still on at the same level. So now it's like your system is inflamed and overheated, but not because there's quote unquote too much heat or inflammation, but because you're lacking the other side of the coin. So what we want to do is turn that cold water faucet back on and restore the balance. So that was the idea behind the formula that we used to tonify her yin, a classical formula that I modified to be specific for her personality and constitution. And then, in addition to that, we also used a remedy that she would take just to support sleep. And this was also working on tonifying yin and blood, and calming the shen and nourishing the heart. I know this is a lot of Chinese medicine jargon, but it's important that I use this language because it's not accurate to say that I was, that she had a sedative herb or that she was taking an anti-anxiety herb. This language is the truest description of what's happening. So even if you don't understand it, just go with me, and over time, if you watch more of my videos and hang out, it will make sense. So she would take the sleep formula just a little bit before bed to help get things going in the right direction. And then if she woke up in the middle of the night, she would take another dose and help her kind of go back to sleep. So the formula that she was taking during the day was going to help with sleep too, because that waking up in the middle of the night with night sweats is a yin deficiency pattern. But I wanted her to have some relief sooner, rather than have to wait until that tonic formula built up in her system enough. So we started working in June. By the beginning of July, she said, I was feeling really good last week. I've been sleeping well with no sweats. My waking time has shifted to 4 a.m. fairly consistently. So that's like an extra hour more than she was getting before. And she says, this makes a profound difference in my feeling of being rested. But she got a head cold, and so she was pretty miserable because she had this bad head cold. And she said, even still, she's feeling more positive in general and closer to myself. Last week, I felt inspired by new ideas and a new project twice. And that was really so. Then in August, so a month later, after she went on her trip, she came back from her trip, she's still taking the herbs. She says, I'm feeling really good. I was amazed that my back didn't ache on the plane during the very long flight. And her emotional life, she says, it's very wonderful. The trip was wonderful, and returning has been a breeze. And she really was no longer having the sleep disturbance. So, and at this point, she had decreased the sleep herbs. She was only using the sleep herbs about 2 days per week. So this is what we want, a lot of times, that those formulas that are for the acute help early on, what I like to see is that after things stabilize, and in her case it was pretty fast because she was in such good shape to start with, but that we start to not need those things anymore. You don't need the formula to help get you over the hump, to help you fall asleep or to relieve the anxiety or pain or the reflux or whatever the symptom is. And then, so she kind of let go of that formula, and then by the end of, by September, she had reduced the dose of her tonic formula as well. She really got to a place where there was, no more symptoms, no more struggle, and we actually have 2 sessions that we still haven't even used because things got better and felt resolved before we even faster than we expected when we first set out. So the takeaway here is that, number one, take good care of yourself as much as you can. It really does make a difference. Whatever you're working with, whatever your genetic vulnerabilities, whatever your challenges, the more that you take good care of yourself, the better. And then the other takeaway is that even though many people struggle with things like PMS or have a difficult transition through menopause, that these are seen as sort of normal life happenings for women. It doesn't have to be that way. It might not have to be that way. Of course, everybody is different. There are some people who, we can't seem to figure it out or solve the challenge quite so easily as in this case. But better not to decide that before you even try something. There are so many people and plants and options out there that can help you through these transitions. You don't have to suffer. You don't have to go through it by yourself. So if you are interested in the possibility of working with an herbalist, perhaps even me, if you're interested in that, I would love to speak with you. I work with clients from all over the US and some in Canada and some in the UK. It really just depends on if we have a reliable source of herbs that I trust that we can get to you. And I work with most of my people over Skype or FaceTime or phone. And if you would like to explore that possibility, just check out my website, psycheandsoma.com. I will link it down below. And the first step would be for us to meet for an assessment session. I will look at your tongue, use a Chinese medicine assessment technique of tongue reading, teach you all about what your tongue has to say. And together we'll take a look at your situation and see if herbal medicine is an appropriate fit for what you need. And if so, what my recommendations would be and what working together would look like so that you can make an informed decision about what your next step is going to be, whether with me and herbs or in another direction.